My aunt accidentally sent me a video of my family calling me a pathetic failure while I've been paying for their bills for years. She should be grateful. They laughed. I stayed silent until the next payment was due. Before we begin the story, take a moment to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support means the world to our channel and helps us spread more shocking true stories to light. Now, let's get started. My name is Olivia, and up until a few nights ago, I believed my family loved me. It started with a simple notification. My aunt had sent me a video. I was in the middle of making dinner when my phone buzzed. Wiping my hands on a towel, I grabbed it and tapped on the message without a second thought. At first, I assumed it was something harmless, maybe a funny family clip, an old memory she had stumbled upon. But then I heard my mother's voice. Olivia should be grateful. She'd be nothing without us. My stomach twisted into knots. The video was shaky, like someone had accidentally set their phone down while recording. But the voices? Crystal clear. A pathetic failure. That's what Olivia is, my father added with a chuckle. At least she's good for something, paying our bills. Laughter. Casual. Effortless. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. I gripped my phone tighter. Then, my aunt, the same woman who had just sent me this video, chimed in, her voice carrying an amused smirk. If Olivia ever stops sending money, we just guilt her into it. She's too soft to say no. My whole body went numb. My name, my life, my sacrifices. It wasn't some hypothetical person they were mocking. It was me. They weren't joking around. They meant every single word. For years, I had been their safety net, the one who always stepped up, always paid, always made sure they never struggled the way I did. Rent, debts, sudden emergencies, I covered it all without question. Because that's what family was supposed to do, right? But now I knew the truth. I was frozen, my thumb hovering over the screen, my mind struggling to process what I had just heard. Then suddenly, the video disappeared. This message has been unsent. I stared at the notification. My aunt must have realized her mistake. Panicked. Deleted it. Hoping, praying, I hadn't seen it. I should have confronted her. Should have called them out. Should have let them know I knew everything. But instead, I put my phone down, pretended I never saw it. And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to react. Not yet. I had a plan. The realization. I sat there for what felt like hours, my phone still in my hand, the words looping in my head like a broken record. Olivia should be grateful. A pathetic failure. She's too soft to say no. I wanted to believe there was some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe they were joking. Maybe there was some missing context, something that would make this all make sense. But deep down, I knew better. They meant every word. And the worst part? They weren't wrong about one thing. I was too soft to say no. How many times had they guilt me into helping them? How many times had I put my own needs on hold just to make sure they had everything they wanted? My father's temporary financial struggles turned into me covering rent for years. My brother's tuition, he never even finished college. My mother's endless emergencies, always perfectly timed right after I got paid. And I had done it all without hesitation. Because that's what family does, right? I had spent years convincing myself that I was doing the right thing, that they appreciated me, that they loved me. But that video, those few minutes of unfiltered, raw truth, shattered every illusion I had left. And now they thought they had gotten away with it. My aunt had unsent the message, probably breathing a sigh of relief, thinking I hadn't seen it. Maybe she even reassured everyone. Don't worry, Olivia didn't watch it. They thought I was still in the dark. And that was my advantage. I could have texted her right then and there. Could have confronted her. Could have let them all know that I saw everything. But what would that accomplish? They'd just deny it. Make excuses. Twist the situation until I was the one feeling guilty. No, if they thought I was still their naive, obedient little bank account, I'd let them believe that. For now. Because in just a few days, the next payment was due. And this time, things are going to be different. The first, no. The next morning, my routine felt eerily the same. Like my entire world hadn't just crumbled the night before. The sun still peeked through my curtains. My coffee still brewed. The city still hummed outside my window. But something inside me had shifted. There was an awareness, a weight pressing down on me. It was like I was seeing my life from the outside for the first time. Then, buzz. A message from my mother. Mom, morning, sweetie. Just checking in. Hope you're doing well. I stared at the words. Too normal. Too polite. She never texted just to check in. There was always a reason. Always a request hidden somewhere beneath the surface. Sure enough, buzz. Mom. Oh, by the way, rent is due soon. Can you send it by Friday? There it was. The cycle. The same script. The same expectation. But this time, I wasn't going to play along. I typed out my usual response, of course. No problem. Maybe even an unnecessary sorry for the delay. Then I erased it. I took a deep breath. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, my heart pounding. And then, for the first time in my life, I said it. Me. I can't this month. I stared at the words for a moment before pressing send. I set my phone down and waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Buzz. Mom, what do you mean you can't? I could feel the frustration bleeding through the screen. I had never said no before. I didn't reply immediately. Instead, I took a slow sip of my coffee, letting her stew in her confusion. Then, buzz. Mom. Olivia, this is serious. We're counting on you. You know we don't have another option right now. Buzz. This time, my aunt. Aunt, hey, sweetie. Your mom is freaking out. Is everything okay? I almost laughed. Is everything okay? Not, are you okay? Not, do you need anything? Not, are you struggling? Just panic. Just, what about us? It had never been about me. It never had been. I took another deep breath. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I typed my final response. Me. I have some unexpected expenses this month. I can't send anything. Sorry. No explanation. No apology. Just the truth. And then, I waited. What happened next told me everything I needed to know. The guilt trip begins. Silence. For the first time in years, I had said no. And they didn't know how to handle it. I stared at my phone, watching the 3 little dots appear, disappear, reappear. My mother was typing. Stopping. Typing again. I could feel her seething through the screen, scrambling for the perfect way to manipulate me into changing my mind. Then, finally, her response. Mom, what do you mean unexpected expenses? What could possibly be more important than your family? There it was. The first guilt trip. I said nothing. Buzz. Mom, you know your brother has no way to cover rent. If he gets kicked out, that's on you. Ah, the brother card. Classic. Buzz. Mom, we raised you, Olivia. We took care of you when you had nothing. Is this how you repay us? I clenched my jaw, my fingers tightening around my phone. Took care of me when I had nothing? I put myself through school. I worked 3 jobs to escape that house. And the moment I had money, they latched onto me like leeches, draining me dry. I had nothing because they took everything. Buzz. Aunt. Olivia, sweetheart, don't do this. We're family. Your mom is just upset. You know how she gets. Just send the rent, and everything will be fine. Fine for who? I put my phone down, my heart pounding. I needed a moment to breathe, to think. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and stared at the clock on the wall. I could feel it, something shifting inside me. For years, I had been terrified of this moment. Terrified that if I ever stopped paying, they'd hate me. That they'd cut me off. That they'd turn their backs on me. But now I knew the truth. They never loved me. They loved what I could give them. And the moment I stopped giving, they showed me exactly who they were. Buzz. I walked back to my phone, picking it up with steady hands. This time, the message was from my father. Dad, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is unacceptable. You're being selfish. This family needs you, and you're acting like some entitled brat. Grow up and do the right thing. There it was. The final mask slipping. No more fake sweetness. No more pretending to care. Just demands. I stared at the words, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. And then, another notification. A voice message from my aunt. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the play button. Something told me this was going to change everything. The breaking point. I hesitated. My thumb hovered over the play button, my heart pounding. My aunt never sent voice messages. If she had something to say, she usually sugar-coated it in text, passive-aggressive, but with just enough fake sweetness to make me feel guilty. But this was different. Slowly, I pressed play. Her voice came through, sharp and impatient. Aunt, Olivia, listen. I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but this isn't funny. Your mother is losing her mind. Your dad is furious. And honestly, I don't blame them. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to keep listening. Aunt, you have a good job, don't you? You make more than any of us. You don't even need that money. Meanwhile, your family is struggling. And what? You just wake up one day and decide you don't care anymore? A bitter laugh. Aunt, you owe them, Olivia. After everything they've done for you, after all the sacrifices they made, they gave you life, and now you're just going to walk away? Pretend they don't exist? What kind of daughter does that? I clenched my jaw. She exhaled sharply. For a moment, I thought she was done. But then, her tone darkened. Colder now. Aunt, you know what? If you really want to be that kind of person, fine. But don't expect them to forgive you. Don't expect to come crawling back when you realize how much you need them. Because once you cross this line, there's no coming back. The message ended. Silence. I let the words settle. My thumb hovered over the replay button. My ears rang. My hands were numb. I should have been scared. I should have panicked. I should have been scrambling to fix this, to apologize, to make things right. But instead, I felt calm. No, more than that. I felt free, because she had just confirmed everything. They didn't love me. They didn't respect me. They didn't even see me as a person. I was just a bank account to them, a walking, breathing ATM. And the moment I stopped handing out money, I was nothing. And if that was the case, then maybe it was time to be nothing to them. Buzz. Another message. Mom. Last chance, Olivia. Send the rent. I stared at the words. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her. I blocked my dad. I blocked my aunt. And just like that, for the first time in years, I was free, or so I thought, because the next day, my brother showed up at my door. The knock at the door. The knock sent a chill down my spine. It was early, too early. The kind of early where normal people were still asleep, where the world outside was still quiet, untouched by the chaos of the day. For a second, I considered ignoring it. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe it was a package delivery. Maybe, just maybe, it was anything other than what I knew it was. Then bang, bang, bang. Louder, more insistent. I took a slow breath, steeling myself, and walked to the door. My fingers hesitated on the handle. My heart hammered in my chest. And then I opened it. There he was, my brother. His face was twisted, somewhere between anger and desperation. His clothes were wrinkled like he hadn't slept. And his eyes, bloodshot, wild. Are you serious, Olivia? His voice was sharp, like a blade pressed against my skin. What the hell is wrong with you? I blinked, keeping my face neutral. Good morning to you too. He scoffed, running a hand through his already messy hair. Don't do that. Don't act like this isn't a big deal. You blocked everyone. Mom is freaking out. Dad's losing his mind. You're just what? Cutting us off? Pretending we don't exist. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. I don't know, Jason. Maybe I just got tired of being treated like a piggy bank. His jaw clenched. Oh my God, not this again. I let out a bitter laugh. Jason, I've been paying your rent for years. I've covered your bills, your food, even your stupid gym membership. And the one time I say no, the one time I set a boundary, Mom calls me selfish. Dad says I'm unacceptable, and you show up at my door like I committed a crime. His lips parted like he wanted to argue, but no words came out. So I kept going. And don't even try to pretend you care about me. Asterisk, I stared him down. I saw the video. His face went pale. For the first time, real fear flashed in his eyes. What video? I smiled, but it wasn't a kind one. You know exactly what video. Jason shifted on his feet. He glanced away, his hands balling into fists. Look, that wasn't serious, okay? We were just joking. You're being dramatic. Joking. My voice was quiet now, but sharp as glass. You all sat around laughing, calling me a pathetic failure, saying I should be grateful for the chance to pay your bills. Do you know what that feels like, Jason? To hear your own family talk about you like that. He exhaled harshly, rubbing his face. Olivia, come on. No, I cut him off. You come on. You want money? Get a job. You want someone to take care of you? Find someone else. Because I'm done. Silence. He just stood there, staring at me. And for a second, I saw something flicker across his face. Something raw, but it was gone just as quickly. His expression hardened. His mouth twisted into something ugly. Fine, he spat. You want to be a selfish BTCH? Go ahead. But don't come crawling back when you realize you have no one left. Asterisk. And with that, he turned and walked away. I stood there, watching him go. My chest was tight, but my spine was straight. Because he was wrong. I didn't have someone left. I had myself. But just as I closed the door, letting out a shaky breath. Buzz. I glanced at my phone. A familiar name flashed on the screen. Mom. I wasn't going to pick up. Not this time. The final straw. The phone buzzed again. And again. I didn't pick up. I sat on my couch, staring at the ceiling, letting the silence settle around me. The weight of it. The finality of it. But I knew my mother. She wouldn't stop. A few minutes later, another buzz. This time, a message. Mom. Olivia, pick up the phone. I didn't. Buzz. Mom. Enough of this nonsense. We need to talk. I stared at the words. There was no please. No are you okay? No we're sorry. Just demanding. Buzz. Another message. Mom. You think blocking us changes anything? You can't just cut your family off like this. We raised you. We gave you everything. And now you're going to throw us away like we're nothing? My throat tightened. They were still trying to flip the script. Still trying to make me the villain in a story they created. I let the message sit there. Unanswered. A minute passed. Then another. Then buzz. A new message. From my dad. Dad, we raised you, Olivia. Don't think you can just walk away from everything we've done for you. You're making a huge mistake. Come back. We'll talk about it. We'll fix this. Fix this? I let out a short, hollow laugh. This wasn't something they could fix. Because they weren't sorry. They were scared. Scared of losing their free ride. Scared of what life looked like when I wasn't there to catch them. For the first time, they were the ones feeling helpless. And I was okay with that. But I wasn't just going to ignore them. No, if they wanted to talk about everything I owed them, I was going to remind them of everything they had taken from me. I stood up, walked over to my desk, and opened my laptop. It was time to send them a message they'd never forget. The invoice for my life. I sat at my desk, fingers hovering over the keyboard. They want to talk about what I owed them? Fine. Let's talk about it. I opened my financial records, the years of payments I had made on their behalf. Every rent transfer, every loan I had covered, every emergency I had bailed them out of. I wasn't just going to tell them I was done. I was going to show them. I started typing. Subject. Everything I've done for you. Then, in the body of the email, I wrote, since you all seem to have forgotten what I've sacrificed, here's a detailed summary of everything I've done for you over the years. Every dollar I've spent, every bill I've covered, every debt I've erased. I've been your lifeline for years. But I'm not your ATM. I'm not your backup plan. And I'm not your emotional hostage anymore. Consider this my final invoice. You don't owe me a cent. But you do owe yourselves the realization of how much I gave, while you took everything. This is the last time I will explain myself. Don't contact me again. I attached the receipts, the bank transfers, the rent payments, the proof of everything they had drained from me. Then, without hesitation, I hit send. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. There. It was done, but I wasn't finished yet. I picked up my phone and scrolled to the family group chat, the same one they had used for years to keep me on edge, to guilt me into submission. I scrolled through the messages, the ones where they begged, the ones where they manipulated, the ones where they demanded. Then for the first time in my life, I replied, Me, you talk a lot about what you've done for me, but you've forgotten how much I've given up for you. Here's the reality. You never needed me. You just used me. And now I'm done. This is my last message. Don't ever contact me again. I hit send. Then, I left the group, blocked the chat, turned off my phone, and just breathed. For once, the silence wasn't suffocating. It was peaceful. It was mine. But just as I let myself relax, buzz, a new message from Jason. Jason, you're making a mistake, Olivia. You'll regret this. Family sticks together. I stared at the screen. And then, I smiled. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't have to stick with them. I was free. And that was worth more than anything they ever took from me. The sweetest victory. I turned off my phone and sat in the quiet of my apartment. No buzzing. No guilt-tripping messages. No desperate demands. Just peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the next crisis, the next emergency, the next Olivia, we need you. I was done, and it felt good. There was no dramatic confrontation, no screaming match, no last-minute apologies, just silence. And silence, I realized, was the best revenge of all. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even relieved. I was just free, but I knew this wasn't the end. They would keep trying. Maybe a cousin would reach out, pretending to be neutral. Maybe they'd show up again, expecting me to cave. Maybe they'd try to make me feel guilty one last time. But it wouldn't work, because they no longer had control over me. I had taken it back, and that was something they could never manipulate away. I stood up, stretched, and walked over to my window. The city below was alive, moving, breathing, just like it always had been. For so long, I had been living for them. Now I was living for me. And that, in the end, was the sweetest victory of all. Wow, what a ride. Olivia spent years believing that family meant sacrifice, that love meant giving until she had nothing left. But in the end, she realized the truth. Family isn't about obligation. It's about respect. She didn't need a dramatic, screaming confrontation. She didn't need revenge. She just needed to walk away. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do. But what do you think? Was Olivia right to cut them off? Should she have given them another chance? Or do you think family, no matter how toxic, is worth fighting for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because sometimes the best stories are the ones that remind us of our own strength. Until next time, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you next one.